I say that whatever the Palestinian people would decide right now, as long as they are part of this deal and part of deciding their own destiny.
What are their hopes? What are your hopes for long-lasting peace? What are your hopes for long-lasting peace in the region?
It's been 78 years of an occupation, an apartheid regime, a racist, supremacist, Zionist regime, which has been openly called for and called out by many humanitarian organizations. The past 2 years have been a genocide, as confirmed by the UN, by the ICC, by Amnesty International, by UNICEF, by Save the Children, by Doctors Without Borders, and so on and so forth. The only way long-lasting peace in the region is possible is if the Israeli Zionist regime is uprooted and replaced with an actual democracy. You can call it Israel if you want, you can call it Palestine, you can call it watermelon, it doesn't matter what you call it. What the Palestinians want is to live in peace with their human rights given to them.
And how does it feel to be back in New Zealand?
Honestly, you want to go for that one?
It feels amazing. It feels amazing to see all my family again, but also I'm feeling a little bit pissed with our government at the moment, especially. Spending a week in a terrorist prison and hearing not a word from anyone in New Zealand does bring up a little bit of fire.
Winston Peters said that we knew what we were getting ourselves into, and that New Zealand taxpayers' money wasn't going to pay to get us out. Is that true? Is that something that was said? Okay, so I'll just maybe add on to what Chloe said about our MPs needing to grow a spine. They should also grow a conscience. So I think
what we walked into is not necessarily going there to be kidnapped and abducted illegally in international waters. We're going there to abiding by international humanitarian law to deliver humanitarian aid to a population that is forcibly being starved right now in Palestine and Gaza. And what we have experienced is not what we walked into.
And we weren't planning to go to Israel. We were planning to go to Gaza. We were forcibly detained, for the record, in international waters. In some of the boats, they were over 80 nautical miles from the coast. That is, in anybody's book, an illegal action.
What can you tell us about your detention? What was it like?
We were there for almost a week, more or less. We were treated like crap, to be honest. We were treated like animals.
It was a demonstration of what violation of humanitarian law is. And that is, in consideration, 1% of what other Palestinian prisoners are experiencing. And that was all international people that are coming for humanitarian work. So imagine what would that be for Palestinians that are being illegally abducted every day and imprisoned in their cells. So
we will probably each of us be posting our own story about the details of what we experienced when we did. But there were common cases of elderly people with us with strong European passports who had severe physical illnesses, like in some cases diabetes, and their medication is not given to them. Sometimes in our case, it was almost 4 days, even though we were screaming and shouting and chanting within ourselves to give insulin for 16 was our chant. They were in room 16. And the response from the Israeli occupation forces in that prison cell was to storm into each of the cells that were chanting and point shotguns in our faces with German Shepherds on a leash as well. Even the German Shepherds didn't want to be there, and they didn't want to bark at us. They knew exactly who was on the right side. It was so obvious. And once they realized that they didn't have any power over us because they couldn't get past that point of abuse, they could spit on us, which they did. They could point shotguns in our face, which they did. But they realized that they couldn't physically hurt us to a point where it would cause an international outcry. Once we realized we had that power over them, the whole game was over. And at that point, we were just annoying to them, and they wanted us out as soon as possible. No thanks to any help from the US, the UK, or the New Zealand consulates, which totally abandoned their citizens.
You mentioned it earlier, but what is your message to the government and Winston Peters' comments as Foreign Minister?
They need to go onto the right side of history. They need to check off what is and what has New Zealand and Aotearoa been standing on for years before with human rights and with justice and with people and ability and rights to live freely and with right to say and express and live and make mistakes and do the human experience, and maybe let's align that right now. They have the power to do that and they do some good leadership role in the world right now, and they are not doing this, and this is very disappointing.
I suppose now that you're back, what's next? Anything out of your home, or is there any other demonstrations, any other trips?
It's going to be ongoing.
And it's going to be a legal action.
Yeah. There's the weekly rallies that are every Sunday at 2 p.m. in Brno Mart, every month somewhere else in Tamakimakoto to maximize exposure. We're obviously going to keep going there, and we're going to mobilize more than ever. The genocide is still ongoing, even though there's a tentative ceasefire deal that I've been seeing in the little time that we've had to read the news. But no, it's time to mobilize more than ever. We're already planning the next festival. Hopefully we won't need to, but if the situation is as it is, we're definitely going to be going.
Would you mind just elaborating on what actually we're talking about just then?
I'm going to be looking into legal procedures against the theft of our things, the abduction, the illegal interception in international waters, and we are going to be doing that as a group in different countries around the world.
And the theft of our boats. Not to mention, we had 47, 48 boats. All of them have been seized and are sitting in the marina in Ashdod. When we got there, Rena and I were on Handala last year, and Handala was still sitting there. It made an attempt to break the siege 3 or 4 months ago, and it's still sitting there in the port, along with the conscience. All of the physical boats over the past 6 months have been sitting there in the port, all illegally. Not to mention our stuff, not to mention our treatment, all of this is a legal case.
Just quickly, your reaction when you came through the doors.
Something positive for a change. Yeah. It's nice to be home, guys. We're so exhausted. We're so sleep deprived. It's literally been from one place to another. 2 days ago, we got out of essentially a dungeon for 6 days. So it feels good to be here. A flat white is definitely on the cards. I'm gonna see my cat and have a nap.
There's amazing my life is at risk even. It's been a long month. Everyone for supporting us while we went, and we're coming here to welcome us, and really appreciate it.
And I feel that there is a responsibility on all of us right now. You know, having all of these people behind our back and in front of you, and you being here, and Marama and Ricardo. All of these people are here not because they just want to be here, because they feel the responsibility and they feel that there is something to be done right now, and we are doing it. If you have that in your power, you do it. Who protect us?
When the governments fail, we sail. And in the past 3 months since we started this project, or in the past month and a half since we got to Barcelona, we met some of the most amazing people I could ever hope to meet. Lifelong friends have been made, families have been made, and we're all already gearing up and looking forward to the next one. So it's only going to go from here. It's a very positive outcome.
Okay, hang on. You go.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
You are this.